Welcome to the Rewards Master, where we talk about all things points and miles. We talk about credit card rewards. We talk about shopping portals and how you can put that together with your credit card rewards, and even restaurant rewards and their programs where you can even double or triple dip your rewards and get some fantastic returns. Check out our webpage at www.therewardmaster.com. If you would take a moment to go down and both like this video, also subscribe to the channel. That helps us out and helps us to gain more viewers. Today I want to talk to you about what I consider to be the very best credit card value that's available on the market today. Now, between my player two, my wife and I, we have 17 open credit card accounts. And we've had many, many more that we've closed through the years. And so we have quite a bit of experience with all different ecosystems. We have cards from Capital One, we have cards from Chase, a multiple amount of cards from American Express. We have cards from Citi, and we use them all. We rack up points in all of those ecosystems. But I consider this card to be the very best one with the very best value. And that is the American Express Hilton Aspire Card. Now, at first glance, some might say this isn't the best card because it has a high annual fee, $450 a year. But when you consider all that you receive in return on this card, that is a very negligible fee. In fact, it's more than made up for by all the benefits that you receive. And at the end of the day, I think that they pay me to have the card, and they would pay you to have the card. Now, the reason I wanted to do this video now is because I think it's very important to consider this card as of this moment, right now, because there's been rumors that perhaps American Express is going to change this card up. It's been so good for so long, and compared to the other what you call top-tier travel cards, this card is very inexpensive at $450. When you have things like the American Express Platinum that's now coming in at $695 a year, you know, the Chase Sapphire Reserve is now at $550 a year. Its main competitor, which would be the Brilliant card for Marriott, is $650 a year and doesn't give you as much back as this card does. So in that marketplace, some think that American Express is soon going to raise the fee and perhaps change up some of the benefits. And there are some other videos and some blog posts and things about that if you want to look that up. But I'm here to tell you that I think right now, the way it currently sits, which could change in the future, this card is the very best value that you can receive. Now, for that $450 annual fee, you receive right now 150,000 Hilton points when you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. Now, I haven't had this card that long, just about 4 or 5 months now, and I already hit my spend and I received my 150,000 points. Now, when you go to redeem the points, Hilton points aren't worth all that much. According to the points guy, about 0.6 cents a piece. And you're going to find that real quick. If you look on the different apps, which I've done for some of our trips coming up, and looked on Hyatt and then Marriott and IHG and then Hilton and compared kind of comparable different properties and what they cost per night, Hilton points, they charge more for a kind of a comparable property. So that's why they're worth less. However, I think that when you look at everything else this card gives you, that's kind of negligible. It doesn't really make that big a difference in your ultimate value. So the card, once you receive that 150,000 bonus, it gives a really unique benefit. And that is that many cards will offer a free night certificate. But this free night certificate is frankly better than all the rest from all of its competitors because of two reasons. The first is you receive the free night certificate your very first year. Now, it's going to take a little bit. So if you get the card, in a couple months, you get the spend requirement done, you receive your points. It's going to take about another month and a half or so. That's how long it took for me to be able to get your free night certificate. But once you do, you get it in the very first year. And most of the other cards require you to have the card an entire year and then pay the fee again, and then you start receiving an annual free night. So that's one reason. The second reason their free night certificate is better than anybody else's is because that free night certificate is good for any Hilton property in the entire world if they have standard night availability. And most of them do at some point or another have standard night availability. And you can see that right there on the app when you're looking up properties. So that means that it's not just good up to a certain point value or a certain category of hotel like Hyatt does, and the others, IHG and over at Marriott, they look at what the point value is. Even their top tier certificates are like 85,000 points. No, the Hilton certificate that you get the first year is good for any, including Waldorf Astorias in places like Bora Bora and Maldives, some of those aspirational places. We're looking at Rome in the fall, and it's good at the Rome Waldorf Astoria. We've already found some nights that we plan to book. And so really you get some outsized value. That certificate in and of itself, I mean, the room we're looking at is like $700 a night, and they could go on up beyond $1,000 a night, and you get that $1,000 benefit just for having the card. That well exceeds the $450 fee. But that's not all they give you. This card also gives you every single year a $250 Hilton property credit. So that's good on their resort locations. And you can tell right there on the app when you look at a property, it'll say when it lists all of the different features that it's a resort. And those resorts, you get a $250 property credit. Anything you charge to the room, including the room itself, you're going to get that $250 back. So there's another $250. And then it also gives you a $100 credit anytime you stay at a Conrad or a Waldorf Astoria. They're top level properties for at least 2 nights, and you pay for those nights. You receive a $100 credit for food and other type things. So you might not use that one as much, but even if you don't, you've got the $250 property credit, that free room at any Hilton resort in the world. And then on top of that, you get another $250 airline credit. Now, in keeping with most American Express airline credits, this is true on the American Express Platinum and others, that is for incidental fees. So typically it won't be able to be used for things like airline tickets. And now, one thing you can use these credits for, the $250 airline credit, is you can use it for different airline incidentals like bag fees, or if you want to buy something to eat on the plane, or maybe some people have had success with upgrades. None of those things really make much difference to me because, as I've said before in other videos, I'm a status flyer. I pretty much have status or very close to it on all 3 of the major airlines. So I get free bags, and I never buy food on the plane because I always go into a lounge and take some food with me from it. So I was really wondering how I was going to use this credit. But I found from different blogs and reading different articles that you can use a workaround, and this is what I did with the United Travel Bank. And it's basically like a United Bank account that's available through your profile, and you can go in there and you can deposit money into it. And when you do that, it lasts for about 5 years before it expires, so you don't have to worry about it right away. And you can deposit with your card, and as long as you do it in small increments, maybe $100, and then a few days or a week later, another $100, and then $50. That's kind of how I did it. Then it'll trigger the credit, and it indeed did on my card. So when you add all of that together, you get that $100 if you stay 2 nights at a Waldorf or a Conrad, which we'll kind of dismiss because not everybody will use that. But then you get the $250 property credit, you get the $250 airline credit, and that puts a net $50 in your pocket over the $450 annual fee. And then in addition to that, you get the free night certificate. In addition to your 150,000 points for the sign-up bonus, your very first year that can be worth $700 to $1,000 or more. So this card, I mean, it's just the sky's the limit as to how much net value you can receive from the Hilton Aspire Card. Now, what about the multipliers on the card? Well, they're pretty good. Now, of course, the thing that kind of is going to give exception to that is the fact that Hilton points themselves aren't all that great. But you get 14x on Hilton purchases. So when you use the card to stay at a Hilton, you're going to get 14 times. And then because of the next thing I'm going to tell you, you get even more. But I'll get to that in just a minute, and that's the status the card gives you. But then you also get 7x points when you book airlines through American Express Travel or directly with the airlines. You get 7x points when you book car rentals with kind of their partner car rental companies, and they have a couple of those. And then you get 7x points on all dining purchases at restaurants. So those are pretty good. If you figure they're worth a little over half a cent each, then that's 3.5 times on those. That would be comparable to most of the Good Rewards credit cards that give about 3 points per dollar on dining purchases. And then they give 3 points per dollar on all other purchases, everything you purchase on the card. So that's about a little over 1.5 cents value for those 3 points. So that's really not terrible. Now, of course, those points can only be used at Hilton's, but the value in and of itself isn't the best in the world, but it isn't the worst. But you get that in addition to all of that benefit from the credits and the free night. And then there's one more superpower of this card, and that is Hilton status. You receive immediate Hilton Diamond status, which is the highest status Hilton offers. Now, that may be somewhat devalued because anybody who has this card gets Hilton Diamond status. And from what I've heard, and I haven't started using my card for stays yet, but from what I've read and what I've heard, it doesn't really help you all that much in the United States. You might get lucky and get some upgrades, but overseas, supposedly, it is extremely, extremely valuable. So that Hilton Diamond status. Now, one thing I love about it, though, is when you have status with Hilton, and I think this may be true of the lower status gold as well, but particularly with Diamond, you get some things like a dining credit when you stay at Hilton brands. And that dining credit can be quite significant. And it's for their better brands like Conrad, Waldorf, Astoria, it is $25 a day per person for up to 2 people staying in the same room. So think about that. You not only get all those benefits, but when you go to eat in the restaurant or buy breakfast or whatever you're going to do, you get $50 a day. $50 a day. And then even at some of their lower brands, you get $10 or $15 a day per person. So, I mean, you get half of your meals on your trip taken care of right there in the hotel just for having this card and having the Hilton Diamond status. And it's really cool on the app because you go on there and it tells you in different places, it'll tell you your different benefits, and it'll show you where your free night certificate is and the number that you have to use when you call in to redeem it. But then if you go over and look at your benefits page, it's going to show you what those property credits are that you receive. And of course, you get late checkout, early check-in when it's available, and you get room upgrades, all that kind of stuff that you typically get with status. But the dining credit to me is an outstanding value that can just save you a ton of money when you're on vacation. So adding all of these things together, the highest level Hilton Diamond status, adding together that free room at any hotel in the world that is a Hilton property if they have standard room availability, adding together $250 credit at Hilton Resorts, adding together $250 airline credit, and everything else that goes with this card, plus you get 150,000 points for the sign-up bonus. I just don't see that there's a better card available anywhere as of right now. But if you're going to jump on the Hilton Aspire card, we don't know if the rumors are true. They come from some surveys that were sent out to Aspire card holders. I didn't receive one, but some people did. And they were asking them things like, how would you feel about an increased annual fee? How would you feel if we changed up the credits in this way and that way? And some of them weren't bad changes, but some of them weren't very good changes either. And so if you want to get this card, in my opinion, the best card there is, I'd get it now. So if you look down in the show notes, I'll have a link if you want to apply through my link. Make sure that it works for you, but of course that'll help support the channel. If you're looking for more articles on credit cards and on restaurant rewards and on shopping portals and and different apps that can kind of help you get additional value along with your credit cards, check out our webpage, www.therewardsmaster.com. And we'll see you here next time.